I've spoken to a lot of people through DMs on Instagram and YouTube, and a lot of what's stopping people from investing is they think it's complicated and they don't know where to start. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you exactly what order you should put your investment money into for your retirement. Shout out to Capitalize, who is sponsoring this video. Capitalize can help you roll over your old 401k into a new IRA, but more on that later. Hey, what's up guys? It's Justine with Debt Free Millennials, the channel to help you crush your debt and live payment free. Now, part of the payment free process and living debt free is also making sure that you have enough money in your retirement account so that you can live a life that you truly love and do it without payments. Now, there are a lot of financial experts out there and plenty of resources to go to when it comes to fueling your retirement and your investment accounts. Now, I have got to tell you, I've mentioned this in several videos, this guy does not know me from Adam, but maybe he should. J.L. Collins, who is the author of The Simple Path to Wealth. This book is like my financial Bible. This is my financial compass when it comes to figuring out where I need to put my money and in what order for retirement. Now, obviously, I've gone and taken a look at other different books and other resources, but by and large, I just really liked what JL had to say in this book, and he breaks it down in such easy to use language that it's not complicated, and I found myself referring back to this book again and again. I ended up buying it on Kindle first, and then I was like, no, I need the real book. Okay, so I actually flagged right exactly where you need to go, which is in part 2, the 401k, 403b, TSP, IRA, and Roth buckets. That's a lot, I know, but he's got a whole system in place. Now, here's his basic hierarchy to invest your money. Now, this really does depend on where you're at in your financial journey. Obviously, if you still have debt, it's so crucial that you pay off that debt as quickly as possible. I have a whole playlist on how to get out of debt, which I will link to up here in the cards if you want to check that out. So once you get that done, you can be more intentional and successful with fueling these investment accounts. I actually had somebody reach out to me on Instagram and she asked, what do I do with this extra income? I want to invest, but I still have like 6 figures in student loan debt. And I'm like, definitely the debt needs to go, because once you get that cleared out and you get rid of that huge monthly payment, think about all the momentum that you could put into that retirement account by really maximizing it. And there we go. Okay, so number 1 is to fund your 401k type plan to the full employer match, if any. So think about a 403b or a TSP. Those are also pretty much the same thing as a 401k, just the only difference really is whether or not you work for maybe a state institution or a government agency or a private company. So number 1, your 401k, and contribute up to the employer match. All right, step number 2 is to fully fund a Roth IRA if you are eligible based off of your income. Now, the max contribution limit in 2022 for a Roth IRA is $6,000. Okay, number 3, once your income tax rate rises, fully fund a deductible IRA rather than the Roth. Now, JL talks about a deductible IRA. It also means traditional IRA. So traditional IRA operates in the same way that a 401k or a TSP or 403b works, in which any contributions that you make into a traditional IRA is tax deductible. And then when you go to withdraw that money during retirement, you will be taxed on those withdrawals. Number 4 is to keep the Roth and let it go. Even if you phase out of the income limits for a Roth IRA, if you make less than $204,000 and you're married filing jointly, you can contribute up to the limit. If you are single and you make less than $129,000 per year, then you can also contribute up to that $6,000 limit. And what's great about the Roth IRA is even though you may phase out of being able to contribute it, you can still keep it in that account and let it grow tax-free until you retire, and think about how much money is just sitting and growing without you having to do anything else. But the key from these last 4 tips that I've mentioned is to start with your 401k, and that goes for any old 401ks that you might have lying around from previous jobs. If you need help with that, that's where Capitalize comes into play. 401k rollovers historically have been tedious and intimidating. To say that the process is complicated is an understatement. Think about all the things that you have to do. You have to contact your old provider, sometimes contact the old employer, fill out complicated forms, sometimes even mail a paper check. It's a mess. That's where Capitalize comes in. Capitalize is an independent platform, so independent of any type of brokerage firm or investment company, who helps you roll over your old 401k into an IRA for free. With Capitalize, you can let the experts do all the heavy lifting, easily compare your rollover options, do everything mostly online, and it's free. So why would you want to roll over an old 401k? Perhaps you don't want to leave it with an old employer. Plus, that old 401k plan could have really high fees and limited choices on what you can invest in. Don't know where your old 401k is located? Capitalize uses proprietary technology to locate 75% of the 80 million 401k accounts in the US. Now, Capitalize may make a referral fee based off of the IRA that you might choose that's listed on their website, but the choice is totally up to you. Look, there are 24 million forgotten 401k accounts that add up to $1.35 trillion. That's so much money. So don't let one of your old 401k accounts be one of those. Sign up for Capitalize for free using the link in the description box below. All right, so if you've rolled over your old 401k into an IRA, boom, go. Number 5 is to finish funding the 401k type plan to the max. Now, as I mentioned before, the max contribution to a 401k plan is $20,500. So just work with HR or do the math on your own and figure out exactly how much per paycheck you need to contribute in order to get that max amount. And if you're thinking, oh my God, how can I set aside $20,000 of my pre-tax income or my pre-tax paycheck? Work on it little by little. Let's say that you only contribute up to the match of 3%. Could you contribute another percentage point for 2022? Could you contribute another percentage point? And keep in mind, in most cases, your income is going to rise as you get older. So as your salary increases, make those contributions increase too. All right, number 6, he says if your income phases out of both the traditional and the Roth IRA, you can consider a non-deductible IRA. And I was like, what the heck is a non-deductible IRA? Well, he has some great points. Okay, so for the non-deductible IRA, contributions you make are not deductible from your income for tax purposes, but there are no income limits for participating, so this makes it a really good account for people who phased out of traditional and Roth IRAs. All earnings on your investments are tax deferred. Taxes are due on any dividends, interest, or capital gains earned when you withdraw the money. So if the market is up, if your funds pay out dividends, you pay taxes on those types of things when you withdraw the money. Taxes are not due on your original contributions. Since these contributions were made with after-tax money, they have already been taxed. That's interesting. So it almost feels like kind of a mix of a Roth and a traditional IRA, because you have that after-tax dollars that are going into it, and then you're only taxed on any gains and dividends and interest that you earn in that account. Those last 2 points mean extra record keeping and complexity and figuring out your tax due when the time comes. Money withdrawn before age 59.5 is subject to penalty. After 70.5, your money is subject to RMDs, or required minimum distributions. That's a whole nother video and a whole nother conversation. I think there's going to be a really small percentage of those watching who might be falling into this, but it's good to know as we get older and our incomes increase. Now, lastly, number 7, he says to take any additional additional money and use it in a brokerage account. So some sort of taxable account that you could set up either with TD Ameritrade, Vanguard, Betterment, M1 Finance. There are a ton of platforms, both legacy and new technology, that you can invest your money with in a general investing account. I think this is a really good way to look at how you are saving for retirement in general and kind of use this as a blueprint or maybe a guideline just to say, okay, check, 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 I'm working on this. And this is great. Now, if you're thinking about that 401k, you're like, okay, should I actually roll it over or can I leave it where it's at? You can absolutely leave it where it's at. However, you might want to take a look at whether or not that 401k is charging excessive fees and whether or not the funds that you are invested in is something that you still want to be invested in. Maybe those choices are limited with that current 401k plan, and thus it might be a good idea to go ahead and roll over that into an IRA. That's exactly what I did when I finally left my employer and I said, I'm taking the money with me and I am managing this on my own, and I do so with a rollover IRA with Vanguard. It's easy and so simple to do. Now, Capitalize makes it even easier for you to roll over old 401ks. Be sure to check them out. Click the link below. It's free to sign up. I think it's great. Happy retirement planning, you guys. I'll catch you in the next one.